What's up, everybody? So we survived 2021.
Barely.
Well, I'm Cody,
I'm Kelsey Ray.
and this is Talks with Tilly. I am so glad you are joining us today. And we're just going to talk about it. What did 2021 teach us? I say it like this. I say 2021 was a year of ups and downs, love and laughter, heartache and sorrow, but most of all, learning and forgetting. I think we could talk about 1,000 different things. I think every year has a lot of it, but I paid way more attention to it this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, for me, it was a lot of ups, a lot of downs. There was some really, really great things and some inner turmoil that I had to work through. And so things were good, things were bad, things weren't all rosy, but there were blessings in between. So
That's right. Well, I made the post. I put it out there, and if you're around me, you probably heard me say this. Guys, I'll just straight up tell you. Last year, I did not make the podcast a priority. I tried to say it a few times. Oh, here we go. We're gonna make the podcast good again, and we're just gonna let it go, and yada yada yada. And guys, it didn't happen. Like, I did not put the effort into it. I had 1,000 things going, and it didn't do it. But this year, this is the year that I take how 2021 kicked my tail, and I share it all with you because, let's be real, I'm about an open book, and I just lay it out there, and I know a lot of y'all deal with it, see it, and go with it. But I do have some goals for the podcast this year. I really want this thing to take another step from what it did a year or two ago, and I know that y'all can help me with that and help do it. Now, all you do is just by y'all liking it and sharing it and putting it out on Facebook and things like that and telling your friends about it, man, y'all help the podcast so much, and it helps me, and thank y'all for that. And Kelsey Ray, thank you for coming on and helping me be a part of this.
well, thanks for having me.
Y'all know Kelsey. We're not even going to the backstory. She did some episodes with me this past year, and it's been fun and great. But to jump just right into it, what did 2021 teach me? Your circle is small, plain and simple. Your circle is small. There's going to be people and what I mean by that is not that people have done me wrong or anything like that. It's that there's a lot of times there's going to be people that come in your life that are only meant to be there for a season. They're only meant to be there for a little while. I've started defining it a lot like this, that life is a lot like a book, and a lot of people do that, but each year is a chapter and each day is a page, and there's a lot of things that happen between the beginning of the book and the end of the book, and there's some people that there are some characters that are in that book that may not show up till literally just the middle of the book, and they're there just for 2 or 3 chapters out of 100 or whatever chapters, and they're only there for a little while, but they play a major role, and they play the part that they're supposed to play, or there's an event that happens, and it's just there for just a little while. But when I talk about my circle, I'm talking about those people that are there for that are I'm such a people person that I just assume everybody's going to be around. Like, hey, once I get to know you, I'm going to know you forever, and that we're going to be best friends forever, and whatever. Because I will talk. This. I'll talk to anybody, anywhere, at any given time, and for me, so I always assume that we'll have. And this is probably the best way to put it. I always assume we'll have the same relationship from this point forward. Once we make the relationship, I don't feel like it would ever, but some relations just don't stay as close as some others. I'm talking about friendships. I'm talking about, romantic relationships, all those type of things, and they just don't stay at the same level. And for me, that's hard because, like I said, I am such a people person. I don't like to see people leave my life. I don't like to see people to take a step away from whatever, or me not to have the same type of relationship with somebody. And I know probably a lot of you listening have there's probably somebody thinking of your mind right off the top of your head, like maybe it's a friend that y'all used to be super close, what I mean, used to be there, or maybe it is a relationship. I can talk about this now because it was one of the hardest things that I probably ever went through in my entire life. But and I'll spend some time talking about it throughout this year of just things I've learned. But I honestly went through the hardest breakup I ever went through in my entire life in 2021. But I see what I learned, and I see how much God taught me through that, and I saw that things that some things had to happen in my life that would not have happened had this not happened. I saw that, I'd lost some goals. Like I'd become so focused on this that some other things, and like all this is on me, like nothing on her, like, and to this day I've never said a bad word about her, like but it went to show me that not every, like, it just reaffirming this idea of, hey, not everybody in your life is going to be there forever. Like, she had been there for a big part of my life, and was played a huge role in it. But obviously, as of right now, it was not meant to be in my life forever. So that's where I take a step back and look at it. But also, there's not just that. I had a lot of friends in my life this year that I look at and I'm like, okay, hey, we're definitely not as close as what we used to be. A lot of friends, just because maybe we don't get to see each other, like, living across the country, or we're all just getting busy. People, getting family, getting families, things like that. And I'm just like, wow, okay, this is a time in my life where I'm like, all right, people are doing their own thing. People are like, and our relationships just aren't going to be as close as they were. And for me, while that hurts, I understand it's just, I hate to say it's just part of life, but I understand that that's going to happen, and I can't let that drag me down as much as it did this last year, because it took such a heavy hit on me. And I know you're a little different on this, but
Yeah, I always assume that people that come into my life are temporary people unless they prove otherwise. And so when people or relationships change, or they exit, then it's just like, okay, well, another one bites the dust. And so for me, it's not,
another one bites the dust.
yeah, it's just not as big of a deal for me. And
you're heartless.
I am an ice queen for sure.
You're heartless.
But I think when we get people's places mixed up, when we put temporary people in permanent spots, that's when we really get our heart broken. We really get to see how things can really be,
how bad they can hurt us.
Yeah, how things can really run amok in our lives when we get those kind of things twisted. And so,
yeah, for sure.
So that's, for me, that's how I've
dealt
with things.
Well, for me, I look at it and I'm just like, I don't think I would change anything, honestly. Like, I really wouldn't. But I do look at it and I'm like, okay, so hey, here's what I've learned now, and here's how I'm going to change things. But also, I've talking about 2021, like, and I had lost some goals in the mix of this, but like 2022, like, hey, I've set some goals, like but both goals, like some spiritual goals, but also some like some physically achievable goals, like some things like, hey, I want to see, I've kind of started a woodworking business a little bit, like I want to see it do this well. Like, I would like to, sell this much or whatever, and just some other goals that I've got personally set. And along with this podcast, like I said, with y'all liking it and sharing it, y'all can help me achieve some of those goals. So please do that, and tell your friends about it. But there's just some things in my life that I've learned that. So those are some of the things 2021 taught me. But what about you, Kelsey? I know this is, we're probably gonna have a totally different outlook on everything. So
yeah, well, for me, from October of 2020 till June of 2021, I was involved in 9 weddings, and so that's a absurd amount of that's what when we started, and I said there was a lot of joy, there was a lot of celebration, there was, but for me, at the beginning, it's like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing, and then towards like the middle, it changed from just joy for another person to a little bit of like resentment and bitterness inside of me, where I was just like, why isn't this happening for me? Because it's things that I want in my life that we were celebrating,
yeah.
And their season's not my season, because I remember it, so it's so crazy, because I remember praying and just talking to God and being like, God, all of this is happening for all these people. They're getting new jobs, they're buying homes, they're getting married, they're having babies. All of my friends are doing all of these amazing things, and I'm just doing the same thing that I've been doing for 3 years. And I was so completely dissatisfied with my season, and that was in June, and then July I had a new job, I had a new house, I had a new car. Like I had all of these things that just kind of fell into my lap, fell into place.
Right.
And it was just not my season for those things. And it's still not my season for those things. And I think it was learning contentment, and not even just contentment, but learning to be able to prop other people up and to cheer them on in their milestones without that seed of bitterness rising up.
Yeah, and that's not necessarily something I have as much trouble with, but I do know a lot of people, like it is hard to cheer. It's that could be something I guess I could see, and I've heard a lot of people talk about it, and I do have a struggle with sometimes, like especially like seeing other people already getting married and stuff. I'm like, golly, I'm 26, and whatever, and when's my time coming, whatever. But I guess that's where I went with, like, hey, that almost became my goal for a little while. Was like, okay, everybody else is getting married, doing this and this, and so that's where my goal is. Like, okay, well then I've got to focus on this. This is where, and that should not have been my goal. But where you were at of talking about cheering others on, like like I guess break down that a little bit, other like coming from your side of things, of being able to cheer them on, even though like how did you cope, but how did you make yourself realize, like, hey, I've got to start cheering them on, not resenting or being bitter or whatever towards that?
Well, I mean, it was really, it was a specific situation. I think maybe it was like a wedding shower or something where, it's so dumb, but they were getting all these beautiful gifts for their new homes, and they were getting to set up and decorate and do all this stuff. And I was just like, like, that was just my attitude towards it was, and it's people that I love and care about. And so that just complete apathy towards it bothered me, because it's people that I love and care about and want nothing but the best for. And so that apathy was just, it smacked me in the face, because it's one of those things where you get there slowly. It's not something that you just automatically are like, well, this is terrible and it's all about me, because that's how my mindset, it differed, because in the beginning it was all about this milestone that this other person is reaching, and just celebrating that this is where they are. And then towards the middle it was, well, things aren't happening for me. And so it was this very selfish mindset that I had to just kind of look at and be like, this is not God. This is not healthy for me, and it's not healthy for me to feel this way during these people's like biggest milestones in their lives. And so it was a difficult thing to kind of come to terms with. And then I remember too, there was a very vivid like slap in the face from God, where I was just talking to him and I was just praying, and I was just talking about how discontent I was, and he reminded me, this was after I'd got my house and after I'd got my new job and all these things, and I was like doing well externally, and internally I was still in all this ruin. And God was just like, you prayed for this. Like 5 years ago, this is exactly where you wanted to be.
Right.
You prayed for this exact season, and this is what you wanted. And now that it's not the timing that you thought, you're upset with the prayers that I've answered for you.
Right.
And so that was another thing that I had to come to terms with, that I was like, oh crap, yeah, this is this is answered prayer. This isn't a plight that he has struck me with. This is something that I've asked for and I've wanted, and all of that. So it was a very insightful year.
Yeah, I get that. Like, and I think a lot of that really comes back. I resonate with some of that of, and we're going to talk about on a certain podcast about, put that, it's going to be one called Put That Smile On. And essentially where it comes from is, me being a leader and being somebody in the community and something like that. Like, there becomes a lot of times where I believe at least personally, I've had this mindset, and I think it can be instilled a little bit, as like, you just, no matter how you're doing, no matter how you actually feel, how you actually, what's going on, we kind of have a joke. We'll just put your smile on and go to work. You know what I mean? Like, and that was something I dealt with a lot, because the last probably couple months of 2021 was one of those deals where, I've learned a lot about mental health, a lot about things of I've experienced personally in that category of I put a smile on so many days and look people dead in the eye, and they would have had no idea what was running through my mind. Had no idea what I was actually facing, no idea, the struggles I was in the midst of at that time. And I believe that that's almost a thing that we've normalized now, is like, hey, you go put your smile on, it'll be fine, don't worry about it, because nobody else can see me struggle. Mm-hmm. Nobody else can see what's actually going on in my life. So guess what? When I get home and the door's closed and I'm in pieces and I'm broken and internally I feel like a piece of, like a glass plate dropped from 1,000, from 100 stories. And sometimes I'm just free falling and then I finally hit, or there's things like that going on. Like, that's how we actually feel, but we're taught, and it's almost normalized now that, hey, no, listen, you just put a smile on and you act like everything's okay, because nobody else can see me struggle. Because guess what? If somebody sees me struggling, if somebody sees that I actually care, if somebody sees that I have, I'm not at 100%. Well, a few things are going to happen, and I'm not going to get into these because, like I said, Put This Smile On podcast, I think, is going to be, I hope a lot of, I think this is going to touch and reach a lot of people. I think a lot of people will resonate with this, but I do think that it's going to be a very real deal, because like I said, I've been through some very real seasons in the last couple months, but like I said, all going back to this 2021, it's like this. We can take it and say, oh my gosh, I'm glad it was over with, or we can take it and say, okay, hey, this is what I learned from it, and I know for me, like I've had to learn with, hey, just the relationship part of things, of I'm not gonna have the same type of relationship with everybody my entire life. Like, there's going to be new people that come in, and they're going to be great, and there's going to be people that leave, and there's going to be people that it just drifts, just no other way. Yeah. And I look back at that now, and I'm saying, man, if I could have realized that, how much heartache, how many things would I have cared a little bit less about and not let affect me so bad, that to the point of, like I said, of having to put that smile on. And I think it just rolls back to that. But man, I think 2022, like, we gonna hit it rolling. Yeah. just as fast as we can. That's all I know to do. But anything else you got before we close out for today?
I mean, I'm excited for what 2022 is going to hold, and I hope that it's as much growth as 2021, but a lot less of the hard growth, and more of the me being willing to grow instead of me being punted into growth.
I understand. Well, guys, I love y'all so much. Like I said, man, I got some goals. If y'all like this, please give it a share. Simply taking a screenshot, putting it on Facebook or Instagram, or tagging me or the podcast page on there. I've got a podcast page on Instagram now as well as on Facebook. So just tagging it on there, telling your friends, all that good stuff. It helps me, helps the podcast grow. So, if you like it and you want to give it a share and a like there, and I would greatly appreciate it. But man, I love y'all so much, and I'm looking forward to this season, this year. I'm sure it'll be full of seasons. Like Alabama, don't know what season it is right now, because it was tornadoes last night and snow today, so we will see. But I love y'all so much, and I will see y'all soon. Adios.
Bye.